Hello, everybody. Welcome to the definitive guide on Euro 2024 fantasy football. This is Fast FPL. I achieved a rank of 169th in Euro 2020. Those of you who watched the last video already know that, so I won't spend time on that. Builds trust with us. Are you tired of content creators just putting out their teams? Are you tired about them talking about the same players for 15-20 minutes and having the same template team as every other content creator out there? Then my channel might be for you. I go through the best picks from each position, each game week in different fantasy formats. Without further ado, let's get on with it. Everything I'm going to go through with you today is post-friendlies. So all the friendlies leading up to the Euro 2024 tournament have been completed now. I think there was a Portugal game today that's just finished up where Cristiano Ronaldo got 2 goals. I was waiting until that to give you a more informed video and a more informed guide on who to look at. Here are your goalkeepers we're having a look at here. So Diogo Costa, you can see from my last video, it's changed a little bit. Some keepers have dropped off. So there's some new keepers in there. And the order has changed a little bit too. Diogo Costa for Portugal has risen in the ranks. 9 clean sheets in 10 games. I think Jose Sa did play a game in a friendly, but it was nothing. I don't expect him to start at all. He's not the same quality as Costa. Czech Republic, Turkey, and Georgia in the first 3. One of the strongest teams in qualifying. One of the strongest teams in terms of favourites for winning the tournament. In one of the easiest groups, 5 million. Pickford goes hand in hand with that. The flip side being England's defence a little worse in qualifying, and they have a few injuries in there. Notably, Harry Maguire won't be in the centre of defence, and they also have Luke Shaw injured at left back as well. So I don't quite trust it as much. And Serbia's big centre forwards may enjoy their time against, for example, Mark Gahey, who might come in for the injured Harry Maguire. So those two are your top 2 picks in terms of value, and in Costa's case, just in terms of points as well. Up next, we have Mike Maignan. He's new to the list. He is back fit now and playing. He's there in the bottom of your screen. The only issue here is he's 5.5 million, and also he does have a tougher group. Austria and Poland are sort of middling teams in terms of quality on the international stage. Netherlands are decent quality, but though historically, you know, pre-2000s, they were very good, they haven't really done much in international tournaments since around that time, other than, of course, that famous final against Spain. I'd like Mike Maignan as a pick. Again, I think very, very strong. He's actually a really good differential pick and goal as well, because I don't think many people will be going with him. Next up, we have Manuel Neuer. Again, I actually think as a differential pick and goal, actually quite good. The only issue here is you're going to have people doubling, at least having 1 or 2 German defenders. Any of those 4 are really good. I sway towards Costa right now because of form, fixtures, and price, but you could pick any of these. You'll notice that 2 4 million keepers have dropped out of my goalkeeper recommendations here, and that is Pence of Austria and De Bus of Hungary. Both have likely lost their place as the lead goalkeeper or starting goalkeeper for the respective teams. I would say the most likely to start of both of those would be Pence for Austria. I think De Bus might have lost his place to Peter Galaxy. But De Bus did start more in qualifying. But anyway, it's not worth the risk. But those are 2 4 million keepers that aren't on here. My favourite 4 million goalkeeper pick, and actually just in terms of value and how well they did in qualifying, is the Romanian keeper, Horatio Moldovan. Sorry, Hortatio Moldovan. He is 4 million for some reason. And 2 great fixtures outside of the Belgium fixture. So if you can, you know, forego that Belgium fixture and have someone else maybe cheap that rotates there, it's really, really promising for him. Obviously, you can have him alongside an expensive keeper, or alongside a cheap keeper, or a middlingly priced keeper. The other one on the list who's jumped in and is the only player on my entire recommendations with red fixtures, and the only reason he's here is because Albania were decent defensively in qualifying, and he's very cheap, and he's going to start for them. And that is Atrit Berisha for Albania. He's 4 million. I don't like the fixtures whatsoever. I can't see Albania getting through in the group, but some of you may want to do a double 4 million. Some of you might want to do a different rotation option other than Moldovan, and Berisha is the other one. Atrit Berisha is the other one if you want to go there. But loads of goalkeeping options. I really think you can just pick your favourites, really. When it comes to goalkeepers, my recommendation is to pick your favourite teams that you think are going to do best in the group stage, not your favourite goalkeeper. You know, if you like Mike Maignan, but you think Portugal are going to do better in qualifying, then pick Diogo Costa, for example. Same with Moldovan versus Berisha. Okay. Defenders, more entertaining now. And the defenders list has changed slightly. More so, some people have dropped out. There's a few new additions and changes in there, and there's a few notable ones not on your screen, which I will talk about in just a second. Theo Hernandez, 5.5 million. He's still top of my watch list. I actually don't see him in that many people's drafts for some reason. I don't really understand why. I think people are a little distracted by some of the other picks. But he's a great pick, and in the recent friendly against Canada, he was really advanced again. I don't think there's any. I think he's probably the most nailed of that back line by far, in my opinion, for France. Obviously, that second fixture isn't the best, but it doesn't matter. It's France. They're probably joint favourites to win the tournament with a pretty good group. João Cancelo is next, and people have been dropping him from their teams because they've seen he's been rotated in a few friendlies. He started 9 of 10 games in qualifying. He had 15 shots from defense, 3 goals. What's not to like? I'm going to go with him still. I know the people are going elsewhere. You could even go with Ruben Dias, but even Ruben Dias has been rotated a little, and I think he actually started 1 less than Cancelo in qualifying too. So I can't see why you would go there. But if you do want a triple up or something like that at the back for Portugal, then there's Dias as well. But I wouldn't personally think Costa is the best option, then Cancelo, and then Dias. Is there a chance of rotation for Cancelo? Yes, but it's not worth worrying about, really, considering the upside of it. Federico Di Marco, who is in the bottom left there. This Italian man. He is against Albania first, and Albania are quite goal shy. You know, not the strongest team in the tournament, probably one of the weakest teams in the tournament, I would say. In qualifying, as I said, not many shots. Di Marco is on some set pieces. My only issue with this pick, there's 2 issues with this pick. The first one is you're basically only picking him for 1 game, and then you're either transferring him out or relying on attacking returns. Because I can't see Italy keeping a clean sheet against Spain. Spain have scored 5, 5, and 3 in their last 3 games. Don't see that happening. So you're basically picking him for 1 game and then hoping for the best, or picking him for 1 game and then transferring him out. So it's a very high upside pick, but the fixtures after that are bad. Also, Italy are just not very good at the moment, right? This isn't Italy of seasons gone by. This is a very transitional Italy team. There's not much establishment in terms of this player is definitely starting, etc. Other than obviously Donnarumma. Could be rotation everywhere, really. Even Di Marco didn't feature in a couple of recent games. So, yeah, it's the quality of the side isn't the best. There's a very, very slight chance of rotation, and the fixtures after the first are bad. But that is very high upside in that first fixture. Next up is the German backline, and if you already watched my previous video, you'll know my thoughts on this already. But Mittelstadt I think he has maybe a couple of corners in him, but he probably won't be on most corners. 4 million, it's just a misprice. It's just a misprice, isn't it? Because he's starting left back for Germany. There might be some rotation there, but it's unlikely. Scotland first game, Hungary, Switzerland after that. And then we have Jonathan Tah as well. Mittelstadt, Maximilian Mittelstadt, of course, of Stuttgart, plays left back for them. Jonathan Tah for the unbeaten Bayer Leverkusen this season, playing centre back. If you're going between one or the other, I would go with Tah. Personally, I feel he's a tiny bit more nailed, and he offers more goal threat as well. But if you just want to save money, go with Mittelstadt or go with both, basically. This is what puts a lot of people off Neuer because of these options here. Next up, we have Wout Faes, the Leicester City centre-half. Again, mispriced in this game. If you look at other games, he's a lot higher in price. He'll be starting centre-back for Belgium. He offers very little going forward. Obviously, as a centre-back, he might get on the end of some crosses or set pieces. But you're basically picking him to have someone active in your team for that Belgian backline. Again, much like the German team, the Belgian team have a very easy group, even easier than the German team, in my opinion. Slovakia, Romania, and Ukraine are tremendously easy fixtures. Germany's group is slightly harder. Next up, we have John Stones, the man who unfortunately specializes in injuries in fantasy football. Great footballer, but yeah, he's just quite injury prone, unfortunately. Which is not great for him. That's the worry with him as well. Is he gonna play all the games due to fitness? I don't know. Again, he could always pull up with an injury at any time. He's not playing that advanced, though he is a ball-playing centre-back, of course. Everyone knows John Stones is. If I had to guess the back line for England right now, it's definitely Pickford in goal. I'd say Stones is the first choice centre-half. Now Maguire is injured. He used to be. The other centre-half, likely, given the squad numbers, is probably Mark Gay, but I'm not going to risk anything on that. Esri Konsa could easily come in. He could even try out Kyle Walker at centre-back if he wanted to, which he's done many a time before. I do think Lewis Dunk is probably the least likely to get minutes there. At left back, it's probably starting with Trippier until Shaw is fit. And then at right back, it's probably Kyle Walker with a small chance of Trent Alexander-Arnold. As you can see, Pickford's the pick there, right? But if you do want something from the back line, it's probably Stones. The rest are expensive or huge rotation risks. And then the last person on my list is just in case someone's going super cheap at the back. And that is Andre Ratiu of Rayo Vallecano and Romania. Romania are really good defensively. I know they're not the best team in the world, but really good defensively. Ukraine and Slovenia, just outside of, either side of Belgium, or his fixtures. If you need someone cheap, he's fine. He's fine. He's just in there just in case someone's playing three or four cheap defenders for some reason, in which case he's there for you. The other picks on the list above him are all better, okay? But he's just there as an interesting enabler that I don't think many other producers of these sort of videos have mentioned. People we haven't mentioned then, speaking of that, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Kieran Trippier, one could play midfield, one could play left back, either one could play right back. There's just too much risk with minutes with them, but the upside is huge from both of them. So if you want high upside and risk, you can go with them. I'm not going to, unless we hear Southgate say something about that. Probably won't. Netherlands defense as well. I'm personally not going with Frimpong because he's a minutes risk and a starting risk. If you want someone nailed on from the Netherlands defense who carries goal threats and potentially penalties, it's Virgil van Dijk at 6 million. As you can see, that's quite a hefty price tag for someone from the Netherlands backline. I think they priced him probably a little off. Probably should have been 5.5. Denzel Dumfries is also a really good shout at 5.5. Who's really attacking right back, strong right back. He should be starting there. Frimpong starts. He'll probably start right wing with Dumfries starting right back with license to get forward, whilst Ake starts on the left-hand side and is more defensive. But Van Dijk is the safer option. Dumfries probably more threatening from open play. Well, for sure he is. But I just don't like the Netherlands backline. Those are your other options. I don't think there's anyone else I've missed. If you want to dip into more French players in the backline, there's Upamecano and there's Jules Koundé. Not for me. Slight rotation risk, not much threat, if any, from Koundé. And there's just better options in Hernandez and Mike Maignan there. Ruben Diaz, we already mentioned. There's not really anyone else I would really fancy here. I suppose you go with Timothy Castagne, but he's priced too poorly in this game, in my opinion, for me to be interested. And as we said, you could risk one of the England backlines, but not really worth it. Midfielders then. That was a long time talking about defenders, wasn't it? Midfielders then. Once again, Bruno Fernandes, of course he's going to be top of the list. His record for... People say his record for Portugal is really good. His record for Manchester United is really good. He's easily the best pick of the midfielders, if not one of the best picks in the game in terms of value. Aside from all the forwards, he probably is. Incredible fixtures. Portugal as a competitive international team are one of the best. Done really well recently. On paper, the names on the team aren't the biggest, but they do have some huge names on there. Dotted with some lesser names. And just as a unit, they're very, very good. You need 3 Portuguese players. Pick 3. One of them should be Fernandes. Don't need to say much else. Kevin De Bruyne, I spoke about him in the last video. He's a big injury risk, but he's got fantastic fixtures. He's one of the world's best players in his position. Belgium are a very strong team. He's a great pick, but he's like the John Stones of midfield here, where you worry about his injury record. But if you've got spare money or you want to take a big premium gamble, he is there, and I don't doubt you for doing so. Ilkay Gundogan is next for Germany. Ilkay Gundogan has started. I had a look recently. I've spent a lot of time doing this video and the previous video. He's started, I think, 4 out of the past 4 friendlies at central attacking midfield, and might be on penalties. And it's Ilkay Gundogan in an attacking role. He's a goal scorer. He's just a great pick. He's the captain in the side. Likely to get a lot of minutes compared to most German players. Playing at home, captain in the home country, Scotland, Hungary, Switzerland. Scottish fixture is probably the easiest of the 3 there. I do hope the Scottish team do well. I'm just mentioning it probably is the easiest of the 3. Hungary are quite strong, actually. And Switzerland, historically a little bit better than Scotland. What's not to like? Dominik Szoboszlai for Hungary, their star man, as we talked about last video. 28 shots, 4 goals, 5 assists, penalties, corners, free kicks. He is the talisman. He will be on everything. He has 2 great fixtures surrounding that Germany fixture. Great pick. I'm sure a lot of people will have him. I think they probably mispriced him a little bit here, as they probably did with Gundogan. They probably didn't misprice. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. They probably didn't misprice Havica, Kvaratskhelia for Georgia because of the quality of the Georgian team. So Kvaratskhelia, though he has, probably better quality than Szoboszlai individually, the team he's with is a lot weaker than the Hungarian team. So though he's almost mimics Szoboszlai in terms of his presence and importance for the team and being on all set pieces, he's in a weaker team. Though I would say that the first 2 fixtures are actually easier for Kvar Adona. So again, really good pick. Probably maybe $500,000 underpriced, while Szoboszlai is probably $1 million underpriced, given the teams. So yeah, just great picks, those first 5 picks. Up next, we have, where is he on my list? Ruben Vargas, who's the Augsburg forward, plays for Switzerland. Again, 2 easy fixtures first, which is why I really like him as a pick. You could go to Xherdan Shaqiri, who does have penalties. If he's on the pitch, he has penalties and free kicks. But if not, then Vargas or Xhaka will take them. I am picking Granit Xhaka in a fantasy game. Ruben Vargas, solid pick. Probably maybe the best pick at 6 million. Yes, the Augsburg forward. You also have Chicago Fire's Xherdan Shaqiri, but for Switzerland, but I still think he's better. Vargas. Next up on our list, we have Sudakov for Shakhtar. He actually responded on Twitter recently. to someone mentioning him doing well in a friendly, well, I think a goal and 2 assists, mentioning that he would be in the fantasy team, and he replied, again, 2 good fixtures. I actually think that Slovenia fixture is a lot better than the Romania fixture, and he is that sort of focal point for Ukraine. I wasn't really impressed by his stats in qualifying, as you can see. They're just decent for a midfielder, right? For an attacking midfielder. It's nothing crazy. 16 shots in 10 games is, you know, it's okay. It's more than a shot a game, but it's nothing crazy, is it? But those 2 first fixtures are good, priced nicely. He's fine, yeah. I think those 2 are good, cheap enablers. Next up is Christian Eriksen, who makes his way into the list again. Survives the chopping block from our last list. Against Slovenia, first fixture is really good, but then the next fixture is bad. Denmark's team are quite a tall side. I think they're the third on average height and median height, or 4th, something like that. And he's on set pieces. So I do like that first fixture and the last fixture, but not the England fixtures. The issue with Eriksen is much like with Federico Di Marco, where you're picking him for the first fixture and second fixture. I don't really expect him to do much against England. But England will have a small backline. Next up on the list is Christian Baumgartner for RB Leipzig and Austria, of course. He has replaced Marcel Sabitzer, the Dortmund midfielder. And that's because Sabitzer hasn't been featuring in friendlies recently. Sabitzer will be on the set pieces, but Baumgartner is so threatening from open play. More threatening than his Leipzig teammate, Xavi Simons, who plays for Netherlands, not Australia. But 6.5 is a really nice price. He would probably be in my team, Baumgartner. The issue is this group. It's the group of death, really. France, Poland, Netherlands. Not a good group at all. I do like the Polish fixture, but the first and third fixture, rubbish. So he might be a sort of squad player, an enabler, or maybe someone we look at in game week 2. And then Scott McTominay, Manchester United midfielder, of course. One of the top scorers in qualifying and has done really well in the league for United this season when he's played. I think it's unlikely he keeps his record up from the amount of chances he's getting, and also given that first fixture, again, like Baumgartner, probably someone you're looking at in the second fixture potentially. Other ones we've missed off, I've already mentioned Xavi Simons for Leipzig, Baumgartner's club teammate. I just think he's not that, internationally, he's not that threatening. He did score in a friendly recently, but not for me. I just think there's better options. But you can go with Xavi Simons. He's definitely viable. Rodri, I think Rodri's 6 million in this game. He's on penalties, but his qualifying record's rubbish and he's playing very deep. He does have recoveries though. Modric at 7 million on most set pieces for Croatia, but again, Croatia, group of death. Have I missed anybody here, guys? Oh, there's Georgi Chakvatadze, who is a 4.5 million Watford and Georgian midfielder. 1 goal, 3 assists in qualifying and on some set pieces, the ones that Kevin Adorno isn't on, for Georgia. I just think you can do better with your money than putting 4.5 mil into a, not a great reserve mid. But if you guys want to play that way and have a very, very cheap 8 for Taka, then you can. And he's probably the best 4.5 is Chavatadze. But he's not going to make my list because I don't think he's going to set the world alight in this tournament. Okay, that is your midfielders. I don't think I've missed anyone of note off. I know people once again will be saying, oh, Spear, what about the England midfielders? Aren't you English? Shouldn't you be backing them? Bellingham's got 1 goal and 2 assists in his England career. But he's the one I would pick if I was picking an English midfielder. Foden, I worry for his ability to implement into the system and his minutes. Saka, fitness plus, again, not on penalties like he is for Arsenal. Rice, too defensive. Mainu, too defensive. That's my thoughts on the English midfielder. If Palmer was starting, even then, nah. I wouldn't take Cole Palmer. He wouldn't be on penalties. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no from me for the English midfield, but Bellingham if you fancy it. Next up, we have our strikers. And I've changed the order a little bit around, so I'm covering some prices there. But there they are if you want to pause it and have a look at them. Romelu Lukaku is easily at the top. They've definitely mispriced him. He should have been at least 10 million. Top scorer in qualifying, Slovakia, Romania, Ukraine, for Belgium. You don't need to talk about him. Mbappe. It's Kylian Mbappe. We're not going to talk about Lukaku and Mbappe. Those are the best two picks in the forward line, in my opinion. Obviously, some of you might forego one of those for someone slightly cheaper. Next up in the list, or the next tier down, in my opinion, would be Ronaldo. My worry for him is kind of total minutes he'll get. I do think he's going to start, but the total minutes he's going to get, I kind of worry a little bit for. He did score 2 just before I started researching and producing this video, because they do take a long time to give me all these stats and review all the minutes and stuff. Cristiano Ronaldo, I think he's a really good pick. I know it's it's one of those where if we were doing this, 10 years ago and said Cristiano Ronaldo, everyone would roll their eyes. It's like, oh, everyone content creators recommending him. But Cristiano Ronaldo, still for Portugal, very, very good pick. Very easy group, very good team, elite level player. Price is probably correct for him, I would say. Harry Kane is next. I would say maybe correctly priced, maybe 0.5 too expensive. The English team, they don't particularly play free-flowing football under their manager Gareth Southgate, and they don't really have an absolute set lineup. Yeah, so I think, if you can squeeze him in, Harry Kane is a great pick. Again, easily in the top 4 forwards in the game and top 4 picks in the game even, but we can only have 3 of them. So yeah, Harry Kane, obviously a great pick, but you don't need me to tell you that. I'm just kind of give you a view of my thoughts on his value. Next up on is someone who is very good value for money, and that is Kai Havertz. In really good form for Germany, really good form for Arsenal, Scotland, Hungary, Switzerland. If you need to save money up top, go with Kai Havertz. Federico Chiesa is next. In qualifying, didn't play many games, but got 2 in 2 and 10 shots in 2 games, averaging 5 shots a game. Albania first game of the tournament. The rules don't apply to him like they do for DiMarco because he's an attacker. So I would say he is very viable. My issue is, I would rather have Kai Havertz at the same price. So maybe Chiesa is a little too expensive or Kai Havertz is too cheap. Rasmus Højlund, I already spoke about in the last video, but Slovenia in the first game is very good. And as I said, Denmark like their set pieces too. And he's more of a focal point than he is for United. I just don't like the second fixture against England. And then we have the Burnley striker, Amdouni for Switzerland, who is very good for his country. I know that Burnley didn't perform last season at all under Vincent Kompany, despite him somehow getting a move to Bayern Munich. I think he just did that on name alone rather than coaching ability. But Amdouni, 6 goals in 10 appearances, 27 shots. What's not to like about him, really? Hungary, Scotland, first 2 games. Another very cheap enabler and a really good differential up front. The last one on my list here is someone who I think Sudakov is a lot better than internationally in terms of his output for goals and assists and for this sort of format, is Dovbyk of Girona. I had some comments on the last video mentioning him. He's the weakest option on my list, in my opinion. Romania isn't a very good fixture because of how defensive they are. But obviously it's a better fixture than, France or England or Portugal. But then he has Slovenia after that as well. So he has 2 great fixtures to show us what he has at this stage. So it is set up for him to do well. I just worry for his previous performance in qualifying. 10 shots in 10 games and 2 goals for Ukraine in qualifying isn't very good. So we're yet to see if he's going to translate those club performances to international performances, but it's all set up for him to do so. So lots of forwards to pick from there. My closing thoughts for match day 1 and your setup for your team. like I said, I don't like having any sort of cheap midfielders or very cheap forwards. You know, I don't want any 4.5 mil, 5 mil players in my attack. Because in this format of fantasy football, you need 15 strong players that can get you points because you've got 15 chances because you can make substitutions within the game, right? So if on match day 1, Kai Havertz doesn't do well for you, not only can you sub him out for one of your bench players that plays on a later day, but you can change captaincy as well. Hence why you should also have a good captain on 3 of the different match days. Go heavy up top, as I said, at least 2 premiums, if not 3, or 2 premiums and a mid-tier priced. Set piece takers are important because it's an international tournament and set pieces are vital to team success because teams tend to be quite defensive. Recoveries help, and I see a lot of people on Twitter, content creators talking about recoveries and players like Rodri and Xhaka, but ultimately, goal involvement reigns supreme. You know, as soon as someone gets an assist, that already outweighs any amount of recoveries they're going to get, really. Minutes again. Minutes. Look at how many, my video should help you give you a solid foundation of who's going to start and what to expect from those players. But if you are looking at other options, check their minutes. Because if they're not playing, it's no fun to have players that are just having 20 minutes at the end of a game. Talismans from teams with easy groups. So, Kvar, Szoboszlai, Sudakov and Dovbyk. Players like this where they're the star of the teams and they have relatively easy groups. Bruno Fernandes. They're obvious picks, but even more so in this format because you know they're very small set of fixtures as well. My team recommendations for who to pick players from are Portugal, France, Germany, Belgium, and England for the group stages. Okay. That is it from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, just to reiterate, this was all post-friendly, so this is all updated as much as possible for the tournament, unless we get some sort of press conference, injury news or anything like that. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, as usual, you'll hear from other content creators commenting, liking, especially sharing the video really helps me out. Yeah, and here's all my links if you want to follow me on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. I sometimes post updates and football stuff and other nonsense on there. I also live stream on Twitch from time to time, usually gaming streams. If you're subscribing, welcome to turn your notifications on, so when I do post the video, you'll see it there. And if you want to buy me a little something, I have a throne there as well. Good luck to you. Should be a great tournament. I'm really looking forward to it. And we'll see how we get on. All the best to you. Goodbye.